I'll be brief. I gave my speech and a lot of that was outlined there, but one of the things I did want to speak to in terms of the upgrades or the advancements in terms of the internal office, one of the big things we've been trying to tackle for the last couple of months, we realized in terms of setting up the financials in a way that they would get back to the way Pam was doing them, and we could have that kind of intelligence, if you will, that would allow the leader and the council to make educated decisions and informed decisions based on the financial position. We recruited Peter McKiernan, who is not here, and I just want to acknowledge Peter. He is a dream candidate for us to get in terms of our financial and as a treasurer. Peter is an accountant. He's a CA. He has worked for companies all over the world. He lives in West Vancouver. He brings with him so much knowledge to the position that I can tell you the next leader is inheriting someone that, beyond just managing the books and advising us, is going to be instrumental in forming intelligent policy and green fiscal policy in terms of the economics that we want to talk about, business, where the government is going right and wrong in terms of their own budget. I think we have a real asset here, and he's not here, but if I could just applaud him and welcome him to the party. We're so glad to have Peter. A few times during the campaign debates, Jane Stirk made reference to an idea of having a Victoria office, and I always thought this was a great idea, and I thought this was very important. We've tried to create an e-office, if you will. We've upgraded all of the software, all of the programming in the way that we are now tracking things meticulously. I know Tori and Jack, you're so sick of spreadsheets now. But I'm very proud of the fact that we've got an MS Office enterprise system that will allow us to have our office wherever we want it. It could be as easy as putting it on a USB drive and transporting it to wherever we go now. We shouldn't be limited to file folders and boxes and ways of the past. We have to be more flexible, and we have to offer the next leader, the next council, the ability to get information faster and more efficiently. We have done that. That's a great step forward for us, and I'm very pleased with that. On top of that, the other thing that I wanted to mention was our success this year at the UBCM conference. This was an extraordinary opportunity for us to emerge from outside of the sidelines, where typically in the past we've been reserved to, because of this absurd and ridiculous policy that no matter how well you're polling or no matter how big public support is, if you don't have a seat in the legislature, the UBCM won't recognize you. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Union of British Columbia Municipalities is a collection of councillors and mayors and political leaders from across the province at the municipal level. They meet every year at a certain destination, and they invite the government and the opposition to present their vision and their ideas on a variety of topics. This year, probably about 4 months before, I came to my team and I said, I want in that conference. We've got to get there. We've been working our tail off. Certainly the work of my predecessors and all of the councils before that have led us to a moment where we don't want to be on the outskirts anymore. We want in. We looked for support. We looked for different mayors who would get behind us. Initially, the challenge was very tough because everybody will tell you they want to go green or they want Greens to do well. But when it comes time to really put up and actually get there and help move a motion at this very political convention, it was difficult. If you didn't read or you weren't caught up subsequently, we were able to convince both the Olympic mayors, if you will, Whistler's Mayor Ken Malamet, who is in his own right an independent and strong green-thinking mayor, and of course Sam Sullivan, who many would perceive to be the antithesis of those things, a Vancouver mayor, to raise this motion and to work their tails off to lobby with us in the background. We did an extraordinary amount of work and we were able to get it past the first vote. It got our foot in the door. I'm so disappointed that I couldn't stand here today and say that we did it. I wanted that so badly. Kate knows how bummed out I was, and I really felt that I let you down when we couldn't do that. I wanted it so badly, but at the very least, I can say to the next leader, our foot is in the door, and we're not taking it out. We have got to get into this convention. We have got to continue to do what we do and work with the mayors and the city councilors to continue to do this, because the moment that they hear us and they're able to, by comparison, understand our message with the opposition and the government, is the moment that the electorate's going to start going, you know what, I'm going to do it this time. I've been talking about voting green. They just gave me a great reason to do it. UBCM was our opportunity to do that. So that was a tremendous success for us, and I'm very, very proud of that. Again, I apologize, and I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to deliver on that for all of you, but I know the next leader will continue to try to do that, and anything that I can help in transition to make that a reality. They're going to enjoy those historical first steps into that convention, and what a day that's going to be. We're going to have a party that night, absolutely. talked about the upgrading of the office. The staff in itself now is meeting weekly. They're doing a variety of things. We broke it down into senior staff and our council team. The next leader is going to have their own vision of how they want to do that, and I'll have a series of recommendations that I think will create what I will hope will be your political staff, and of course your council, which is your advisory board. The political staff is essential. You're going to need a political director. You're going to need a press secretary. We're losing Jackie, who's going back to Australia soon, and she was instrumental for us, but there's great press secretaries out there. There's great people who understand the media, and they'll be able to do that. And I'll be creating in my transition memos a system in place for a communications plan that will break down what is it that we want to talk about proactively on any given week as a party. What are we reacting to in terms of what the opposition and the Liberal government are talking about? And then in terms of that, what are we saying to our membership, and what are they saying to us? Grassroots, of course, is still essential to our party's core, and we have to develop a communication system that is even better at hearing what they're saying as well. Quicker, faster. I hope that the new website will allow us to do those things quickly, and that's another big success which I alluded to. It will go live Monday. Again, it's a work in progress. There's still things to be done, but I think that it's an extraordinary step forward for us. So those were the major things that I wanted to talk about. And I guess, and finally too, that the relationship that we are forming now with government and the people that we need to influence in the short term before we get our elected seats is very healthy. And that'll be up to the next leader if they want to continue that relationship, or if they want to go in guns blazing and they want to show British Columbia that we don't like the way they're doing things. That's really up to your next leader. But at the very least, I'm very proud of the fact that it's a healthy relationship. They're looking forward to the next elected leader. They've asked me a million times, who do you think it can be? And I'm very proud to say, I have no idea who's going to win this thing tomorrow. And that's a really good thing. It shows we've had a very healthy race. I recognize some of the complications and the challenges that we had in the actual build-up to this election. I feel very good about the things that have been done to correct those things, and I hope you'll have your patience and your understanding and your kudos for the people that have pulled it off when you see that it's done fairly. And Tori has done a great job as being our returning officer, and I dare you to try to get that ballot box away from her. I'll give you a big shiny toonie if you can wrench that thing away from her. So I'm very pleased with things overall. What I would really like to hear from you at lunch and at different times tonight is your criticisms, your critiques and your ideas in transition for the next leader. Those are really the most important parts for me. They let me know what you think of how things went, but more importantly, I can communicate where you were frustrated, the things you didn't like, the things you wanted to see more of as I work into my briefing meetings with the next leader. I'm never afraid of those things. You know, my blog is a wide open book for people to do those things, and I'll encourage you to do it. So please be very generous with your criticism in transition. I'll definitely be looking forward to it. It'll be very helpful. Can you believe I just said that, honey? Generous with your criticism. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you. Well, bring them on. I'll answer anything. Adrian?
No criticism, Chris. I want to just thank you for the job that you've done, stepping up to the plate, for putting your energy, your time, your effort, bringing new people in, really moving the power forward, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it.
When you were losing it, but what Christopher failed to tell you is that although the vote called for a 2/3 majority to allow the Green Party to actually formally be invited to speak at the conventions, there were almost 50% of those councillors who stood up to say the Green Party should be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It took a new leader in the position to think of new things to do for the party.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it. You guys are letting me off way too easy. Oh, wow.
When you refer to bringing issues into current time, how does that work? Who creates the response to some current event? generates the Green Party line, I guess is what we call it?
That's a very intelligent and difficult question to answer, and it's one that the next leader, I'm going to have to work with them to develop a good strategy, because technically your council should play a pivotal role in that. Some days it's virtually impossible for us to get council together for quorum, for conference calls, for a variety of things. You have two messages as a political group. Your proactive message, what you want to tell people on any given issue, what you need them to understand. And then, of course, how you are reacting to an issue that the government or the opposition has put forward. So we have two streams of communication. We say, this week we're talking about healthcare, this week we're talking about education, or we're talking about the economy. But that might not be the week that the NDP wants to talk about those things. They might want to talk about poverty and homelessness and how the government's failing to do that, and the Greens are letting them off easy. So we have to not only be proactive, we have to react. In most cases, it was my small staff getting together. I counted on guys like Sven, I counted on guys like Tom and Tina, who had been in the party ranks. It wasn't unusual for me to reach out to Andrew or to Rex Weiler, to Angela Reid, and bounce ideas off them depending on their given strengths. I'd like to see council give their blessing in support of a more modified and simple system, because the other half of that is it's virtually impossible to call up everybody that has a stake in those things. You can't ask the membership on any given time. Usually you got to speak to the policy on a proactive message that exists, but on a reactive message, in some cases where we haven't formed articulate policy or it doesn't exist, you got to give it your best shot. And that's where I think I got myself into waters where people were either very happy with it or they were very frustrated with it, because it wasn't their line or it wasn't the party line. And in leadership, you wrestle and you juggle with those things and you try to do the best that you can. And I'll be certainly talking to the next leader about where I ran into trouble and how I hope that they can make that easier so that the membership is jazzed, but more importantly, the electorate hears it and it resonates, so that converts hopefully into votes on election day. That's really what the message plan is all about. Does that answer your question?
Do you think that's the most important thing to do next?
Win an election?
No, bring up current issues and current events.
Yeah. If we don't control our message, we are being dictated the message by the other two parties. In fact, now more than ever, we have to do it. We had the NDP on the run at UBCM. We forced them to say, oh, we don't want to get involved, it has nothing to do with us. That was one of the most powerful points we'd ever had in the media, where we controlled the debate. Adrian's very good at doing that, and so is Elizabeth on environmental terms. They get in there. We need to just crank that up one notch further, and we need to get in their face and not be afraid to talk about healthcare and education. We got a damn good plan on education and healthcare. Ben West has spoken passionately about it in his campaign. He gets it. We have to go in with the same ferocity and own that message cycle. And there's a tenacity that needs to exist there, and that begins with a really intelligent message plan, which in turn comes from council saying, here's how we want you to do it, here's what we'll be okay with, and here's what we're not okay with. And we haven't quite defined it perfectly yet, but it's getting very close. Adrian.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. That is an excellent point. Proactive action on the part of the Green Party is absolutely essential. I just want to remind everyone here, while I was there were two periods where we hit 19%, I have to correct you on your earlier statement, we hit 19% in the polls province-wide, 31% on Vancouver Island in the polls, ahead of the Liberals in the polls. They were not environmental issues, but we were in the lead. One was electoral reform.
Awesome.
2002 initiative that I did as an individual citizen, the party backed. And the second was when I was one of the lead spokespeople in the coalition against the 2010 games. Not that we're against sport, but that we are against putting so much money into a set of games and we're shutting rural hospitals and schools.
Yeah.
So those two issues, 19% of the polls, when we mobilize around issues and really get a message out there that the other parties aren't willing to talk about or even make statements on, we are absolute winners and the people love us.
Yeah, hear, hear. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Christopher, for everything you've done over these past months. And I just wanted to comment on your statement about the need for policy so that our future leader can react or proactively take stands. I don't know when this arrived. I've been away for a week, but this is the Liberal government's latest. What choices would you make for a greener future? This is asking us, has everybody seen this? No. Okay, it's just arriving then. The inside is setting the course for a greener future. So again, The whole thing, from the, I've got about 3 copies with me if you want to peruse them over the next couple of days. But we have got to take the lead on these issues. And to be honest, I think we are behind in our policy development. We have a lot of work to do on a lot of fronts. But starting in January, after we get some other things sorted out, policy is going to be top on our agenda.
Totally. You're not helping the next leader by delaying on that, because the next leader has to be able to refer to it. It should almost be a manual that they can thumb tab down and pull it over and go.
Well, I'm suggesting January just because we have other stuff we need to do.
Well, certainly, yeah, but it's a priority. I agree with you 100%. It's essential.
Priority. We are losing ground on green issues.
Yeah.
I have a point of information about this. The government passed a regulation or a law on September 15th to consult the public. This came, I saw it at the beginning of this week, and so it's very late in arriving. They have extended the deadline to respond to next Friday. So all you have to do is take about 5 or 10 minutes per question in your head and bang it up. You'll see that what's in your head is actually in the Green Party platform. And if you can't think, then just go to the Green Party platform and use your own words and stick them in. And it is a chance to respond. I've worked on mine. I'm going to be sending mine off. But we have a week, and it's really not that difficult. And I urge citizens to do that. There is one critique that I have to make, and that is that all of this is focused on our personal responsibility. There's nothing in there about the responsibility of industry. There's nothing in there about the responsibility of government. So in your comments, you can mention that. Thanks.
Sure.
Since this is a summing up point, I think we've left off the live web debate, which was one of our accomplishments.
Oh yeah, just quickly on that. Tina just wanted me to remind you too, we had our first live web debate, which was huge. That's a great thing. In some places, they weren't able to get it, but what was so exciting about it was people in Ontario logged in and watched it. We had people from across the country. So yeah, I didn't want to neglect to mention, that's fantastic that we're doing that kind of stuff. And I've seen a couple of the leadership candidates who have really harnessed. I know Damien and Ben are phenomenal at it, not to leave any of the other candidates out, but we need more of that kind of stuff in this party, because that's where especially the youth vote is. And we worked to try to be groundbreaking there. And I thank Dan Grace and his team for working so hard. That was really cool. Bravo, guys. That was a neat thing. The other thing I wanted to mention too was I got 2 phone calls after the UBCM. One of them was from a former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, and the other one was a former NDP Premier. And they both said, holy cow, you guys are coming on fast. We did not see that coming at UBCM. Well done. They're looking at our party right now real seriously. So I really am excited for the next leader to go in there and really take that thing to the next level. We're in better shape than I think we think, and I don't want to get cocky or get complacent. But this is a phenomenal time. We need you to sign up for these committees. We need your experience. We need to know what you know, because right now we are at a skills and people shortage that is burning out the present staff. We are desperate. Please come and talk to Angela or myself and take Walter's lead to join a committee. We are so desperate for it. I don't want the public perception to die down. I want them to see it rolling and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a great time for us. So, was there one more comment there?
I have Angela next.
Just to follow up with what Walter had said and what Christopher just said, we have an election coming up in like 18 months, a provincial election. So the Liberal Party is getting ready for it by sending that out and finding out what people want to hear. The Green Party has to be doing the same thing in developing our policy, and perhaps whether it's from the provincial party level, sending out a document like that, asking people what they want. On November 25th in my community, after Elizabeth May does a pancake breakfast with everyone, I'm inviting the entire public, anyone who's thought of voting Green, anyone who's voted Green before, because there are like 4,000 or 5,000 people in every community who probably voted Green in the past that aren't members and that don't talk to us on a regular basis, and asking them to come to a forum and tell us what they think it will take to win seats in the next municipal, provincial, and federal elections. So we really need to start reaching out to our communities, asking them what they think it will take to elect us. What would it take for you to vote for me if you haven't before? And getting that information back to the provincial partiers or back to your CAs.
I'd like to note that the mayor, Mr. will be speaking here today at 2:45, and I'd like to thank the people for inviting him to come.
Yes.
Totally, yeah, you'll get a chance. And on that note, if you're able to come to the Schumacher dinner tonight, I know it's expensive. We've tried to keep it as cost effective as we can. It's a real big step for us in terms of recognizing the relationship with responsible green business and industry, as some people have talked about. We've got some great speakers. Jim Harris is here, who was a hero to me politically back in Ontario and what he did. You know, in many cases, I tried to model myself after the way that Jim did things because he brought everybody in from so many different sectors. He wasn't afraid to be a green machine that way. And Ken Malamet, who's an Olympic mayor, who actually opposed the Olympics as a city councillor, he's going to come here and talk to you about how he's going to make it the greenest Olympics in the world and how he's going to cookie cutter that so that other countries do it. It's worth meeting him today, and if you can get to the dinner tonight, we'll try to drag him out to the pub later for those of you who can't make it so you can get him drunk on green beer or something and pick his brain. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for recognizing that. He's a neat guy.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say that that Christopher and Tina and Heather's and Angela and Rex's leadership and were really one of the really inspired me to be one of the 5 leadership candidates and help the party grow and gain more exposure for the party. So I think today in the full room is a testament to Christopher's job, and I really wanted to thank him for all his work and encourage you to stay involved. And I hope you run as a candidate in 2009, that you're elected as MLA in 2009. So thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Christopher, I also thank you for what you've done. A lot of it we weren't aware of, and I knew that was going to happen. We didn't know what you were doing, and now we know, and we're very happy to hear what you've been doing. And some of the things you've been doing, you did know, so that was great.
Thanks for that.
And it even raised some very important issues that we could then debate in public, which is also a very important thing.
Absolutely.
Right? And I just wanted to maybe do what Adrian is always doing, is correcting a little thing and not letting anyone be forgotten, and that is that although Dan Grice led the way together with Ben in media technology and getting information out there on the web, I must acknowledge that there was a young team of women, some of whom are not even out of high school yet,
yes,
who also did that. Perhaps you could acknowledge them. Yeah,
please, and actually, maybe are they here? Can they stand up? I'm so sorry if I might have forgotten them. It was your daughter and her group of friends, was it not? Forgive me, I don't recall their names.
Here,
If you have the names specifically, forgive me.
We're all going out of order, but this is our opportunity. We will be having appreciation awards tomorrow, but since we're on this topic, I did direct that live web debate. I was very, very fortunate to have quite a talented team, and the young women who came on were helping us with our video work and our still photography that we're trying to do. And it was Natasha Zween, who is Sylvan's daughter, and her friends Kaylee and Samantha Spear. And yes, they are young women just leaving high school.
Fantastic.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions for Christopher? Ben?
Well, just while we're thanking women with video cameras, I wanted to thank Lily Alden. As much as we did a lot of video on my campaign, I wasn't holding the camera myself, so I don't think it's fair that she not get the credit for that. Lily did a lot of work on the website.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, not seeing any questions or comments, I am going to ask for a motion to receive the report. James? James Halpin. Okay, is there anybody opposed? Abstentions? All right, it is passed by consensus. Thank you.